The nice narcissist. Why everyone thinks they are an angel, except you. You're watching them charm the room right now. They are laughing, pouring drinks, and making everyone feel so incredibly special. It's a flawless performance of pure, undeniable goodness. And as you watch them play the perfect angel, a cold, heavy knot twists deep in your stomach. Because you know the absolute truth. You know what happens when the audience goes home. It is a lonely, terrifying kind of isolation, isn't it? Being the only person who sees the monster hiding behind the saint's mask. When everyone else is singing their praises, calling them kind, generous, and selfless, you are standing there suffocating in silence. You feel crazy. You start wondering if maybe you are the problem, just like they always tell you. But I need you to hear this right now, and I need you to really let it sink in. You are not crazy. You are not overly sensitive, and you are not imagining things. What you are dealing with is one of the most dangerous, insidious types of emotional predators out there. The covert, nice narcissist. They don't rage in public. They destroy you with a quiet, smiling whisper. We usually think of narcissists as loud, arrogant, and obsessed with themselves. The ones who need to be the absolute center of attention at all times. But this type, they operate entirely in the shadows of their own fake humility. They build an impenetrable fortress of good deeds and charity, using their kindness as a weapon to control you and blind everyone else. Think about how they act around your family or your friends. They are the first to offer help, the first to bring a gift, the one everyone points to and says, "You are so lucky to have them." And that is exactly how they want it. They are meticulously grooming your support system, making sure that if you ever decide to speak up, nobody will actually believe your story. Because how could anyone believe you? If you try to explain the subtle put-downs, the quiet manipulation, or the cold, dead look in their eyes behind closed doors, it sounds absurd. The world only sees the angel. So when you finally break down and react to their hidden abuse, they just sit back, look concerned, and let you look like the unstable, ungrateful one. It is the perfect crime, emotionally speaking. They leave absolutely no bruises, no visible scars, and no evidence for anyone to find. They just slowly chip away at your reality, your confidence, and your entire sense of self. They feed off the praise of strangers while starving you of basic human decency. And the contrast between the two is what breaks your heart. This video is going to expose exactly how they pull off this exhausting illusion. We are going to rip off that smiling mask and look directly at the calculated machinery underneath. Because once you understand the twisted psychology behind their fake goodness, their spell over you shatters. You stop trying to prove your reality to people who are under their heavy hypnosis. You will finally realize that their niceness isn't a personality trait. It is a highly engineered survival mechanism designed to feed their fragile ego and keep you trapped in a state of confusion. They need the world to think they are a saint so they can get away with being a tyrant in secret. It is a deeply deliberate, conscious choice they make every single day. So, take a deep breath. Settle in. Let go of the need to convince the rest of the world. Right now, this space is just for you and the truth. We are going to break down the anatomy of the nice narcissist, how they manufacture their flawless public image, and exactly what happens when their carefully constructed, angelic facade finally begins to crack and fall apart. To understand the nice narcissist, you have to look past the good deeds and focus entirely on the hidden motive. For them, kindness is never actually about connection or empathy. It is an investment. It is a transaction. Every favor they do, every gentle word they speak in public, is carefully deposited into an emotional bank account that they fully intend to overdraw. They use this false humility to create a thick, protective shield. If you ever dare to criticize them or point out something they did wrong, they immediately weaponize their own supposed goodness. After everything I've done for you, they sigh, looking deeply wounded. Instantly, the conversation flips. You are no longer holding them accountable. You are attacking a saint. This creates a terrifying psychological trap for you, the victim. You are constantly subjected to passive-aggressive jabs, subtle dismissals, and quiet, agonizing neglect. But because it is sandwiched between moments of manufactured, public sweetness, your brain struggles to process the threat. Cognitive dissonance sets in. You desperately want to believe the angel is real. But the angel is nothing more than a carefully crafted character. Inside, the nice narcissist is completely hollow, deeply insecure, and driven by an insatiable need for external validation. They cannot generate self-worth from within, so they have to harvest it from the admiration of strangers. They don't want to actually be good, they just urgently need to be seen as good. This is why their empathy always feels weirdly performative and shallow. Have you ever noticed how they rush to comfort someone in public, but when you are crying alone in the kitchen, they just stare at you with blank, annoyed eyes? Or they simply walk away. Behind closed doors, there is no audience to applaud their kindness, so they completely turn off the performance. It is chilling when you finally see that switch flip. One minute they are charming a neighbor, laughing warmly, and the next, the door closes and their entire face drops into a cold, flat scowl. The sudden shift is enough to give you whiplash. It proves that the warmth was never genuine. It was just a heavy, exhausting costume they wore to manipulate the outside world. They use this exact same mechanism to smear your reputation before you even realize you are in a fight. They play the role of the concerned, long-suffering partner or friend. They softly tell people, "I'm just so worried about them lately," or "they've been so difficult, but I'm trying." They are poisoning the well, wrapping their character assassination in fake empathy. And it works beautifully. People naturally trust the person who appears calm, reasonable, and self-sacrificing. By the time the abuse pushes you into a state of reactive abuse, where you finally snap and raise your voice, the trap snaps shut. The narcissist just points at you, wide-eyed and innocent, while the rest of the world nods and says, "Wow, you were right about them." You end up carrying the emotional weight of their hidden darkness while they get to float through life receiving endless praise. It is a specialized form of psychological torture. You are being suffocated, and the person holding the pillow over your face is the exact same person everyone else is celebrating as a hero. The cognitive load of holding this truth is staggering. But here is the secret they desperately don't want you to know. Their entire existence is fragile. The nice narcissist lives in absolute, paralyzing terror of being unmasked. The amount of energy it takes to maintain this flawless illusion is massive, and they live in constant fear of that one observant person who will finally see through the cracks. They fear you. There always comes a moment when the illusion simply cannot hold. A tiny, almost imperceptible slip. Maybe they think no one is watching, or maybe they just get too comfortable. But the mask slips, and the vicious, petty core underneath flashes into plain sight. It is a moment of pure clarity for you. The confusion violently evaporates, replaced by a cold, hard certainty. You stop engaging with the illusion. You stop arguing, you stop pleading for them to understand your feelings, and most importantly, you stop playing the role they assign to you. You begin to observe them clinically, watching their predictable patterns unfold. And the moment you pull back your emotional investment, the nice narcissist can feel the power dynamic shifting. They panic. The quiet withdrawal of your emotional supply terrifies them. So, what do? They ramp up the performance. They suddenly become overly helpful, showering you with public affection or buying you gifts that you never even wanted. It is a desperate, scrambling attempt to drag you back into the fog. They need to reset the game before you realize you won. But it is far too late. You see the mechanics now. When they buy that gift, you don't feel gratitude, you see the string securely attached to it. When they offer to help, you know they are just purchasing future leverage. The magic trick has completely lost its power, and nothing infuriates a magician more than an audience member who knows exactly how the trick is done. This is when the nice narcissist begins to quietly lose their mind. Their fake kindness becomes weaponized in strange, highly aggressive ways. They will do a favor for you that you explicitly asked them not to do, just so they can play the victim when you aren't properly thankful. They are trying to force you into a reaction, desperate for any sign of control. You remain entirely neutral. The gray rock method becomes your shield. You offer no drama, no anger, and no deep emotional resonance. You give them nothing to feed on and absolutely nothing to use against you. And in the absence of your reaction, their internal anxiety skyrockets. The saintly facade begins to stretch thin, exposing the frantic, angry creature underneath. They begin to make sloppy mistakes. Because you aren't reacting to them in private, they have to escalate their behavior to provoke you. Sometimes, they do this in front of other people. A passive-aggressive comment goes just a little too far. A joke lands with a vicious, undeniable cruelty. And for the first time, a mutual friend or a family member catches the slip. "Did you hear what they just said?" someone whispers to you later. It is a tiny, validating crack in the universe. You are no longer entirely alone in the truth. The narcissist's desperate need to assert dominance over you has blinded them to their surroundings. In their frantic effort to punish you for pulling away, they have begun to accidentally dismantle their own mask. The panic turns into quiet rage. The sweet, gentle tone of voice is suddenly replaced by a terrifying, icy stare when no one is looking. They realize that their ultimate fear is coming true. You are immune to them. The emotional bank account is officially closed, the funds are drained, and they have absolutely zero leverage left to keep you compliant and silent. You are witnessing the collapse of a false self. It is a pathetic, desperate unraveling. They will try to run to their flying monkeys, spreading rumors to secure their victim status. But even that feels hollow to you now. You watch them scrambling to control the narrative, and you realize something profound. They aren't powerful. They are just incredibly, painfully weak. The collapse of a covert, nice narcissist is not usually a loud, explosive event. It is a slow, deeply embarrassing rot. As you stand firm in your boundaries, their carefully curated world begins to shrink. The people who were once completely charmed by them begin to feel a strange, creeping exhaustion. The endless need for validation starts to feel heavy to everyone else. True relationships require genuine vulnerability, and the narcissist has none to offer. Eventually, the shallow nature of their connections reveals itself. People notice that the narcissist is only nice when it is highly convenient, or when there is an audience to applaud them. The hollow echoes of their fake empathy become painfully obvious to those paying attention. They begin to isolate themselves, though they will fiercely claim that they are the ones being wronged by a cruel, ungrateful world. The narrative shifts from "I am so blessed" to "I do everything for everyone, and nobody appreciates me." They wrap themselves in a thick, suffocating blanket of martyrdom. It becomes their entire identity, a pathetic shield against reality. But you are no longer trapped in that reality. You are watching from a safe, emotional distance. You see the profound tragedy of a human being who is entirely cut off from authentic love. They will spend their entire life performing a character, surrounded by people who only love the mask, entirely incapable of experiencing the terrifying beauty of being truly known. Yes, there is damage left behind. You have to mourn the person you thought they were, the angel who never actually existed. You have to heal the parts of your brain that they systematically rewired. You will likely lose friends or family members who choose to stay deeply asleep in the narcissist's illusion. That loss is brutal, and it hurts in a way words cannot capture. It is deeply unfair that you have to clean up a psychological mess that you didn't create. You will have days where the phantom echoes of their quiet put-downs ring loud in your ears. You will question your own motives, terrified that maybe their poison seeped into your own heart. Healing from covert abuse is not a straight line. It is a messy, exhausting, brutal battle. But there is a massive, life-altering difference between your pain and theirs. Your pain is temporary. It is the painful, necessary process of extracting a parasite from your soul. Their pain is eternal. They are permanently locked inside a psychological prison of their own making, forever chasing a reflection in the mirror that will never, ever love them back. You must fiercely protect your newfound clarity. Do not let pity drag you back into their orbit. When you see them spiraling into their self-created victimhood, remember the coldness in their eyes when you were bleeding emotionally. Remember how effortlessly they twisted the knife while smiling at the rest of the world. Your empathy is sacred, and they do not deserve it. They will eventually find a new target. Someone who hasn't learned the language of their hidden abuse yet. Someone who is mesmerized by the perfect, angelic performance. It is a sickening cycle to watch, but it is no longer your responsibility to save anyone. You have to step off the battlefield entirely. You cannot rescue people who are deeply committed to the illusion. Your only responsibility now is your own radical recovery. You have survived a psychological war that most people will never even see. You held on to your sanity when reality was being actively distorted around you. You are walking away with the ultimate prize, the one thing the nice narcissist will never, ever possess in their entire hollow life. You have your truth. Stepping out of the shadow of a nice narcissist is like waking up from a deeply disorienting trance. At first, the light is blinding. The silence of your own mind feels almost unnerving without their constant, subtle interference dictating your thoughts. But then, slowly, the air begins to feel lighter. You start to recognize the beautiful, authentic sound of your own voice. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop running your every thought through an invisible filter, terrified of accidentally triggering a quiet, punishing sigh. You realize that you no longer have to over-explain your reality to justify your basic right to exist. The heavy, suffocating weight of being managed, monitored, and secretly despised is finally lifting off your chest. You begin to rebuild your inner circle. This time, you naturally gravitate toward people who don't need to perform their goodness loudly for the world. You learn to appreciate quiet consistency. You value actions that perfectly align with words, and you realize that true kindness doesn't require a constant audience or an emotional receipt. Real love is beautifully boring. It is okay if you still feel angry. Let the anger be the clean, hot fire that finally burns away the remaining trauma bonds. Let it forge an absolute, unbreakable boundary around your life. That anger is just the part of you that knows you deserve so much better, finally waking up and standing guard at the door of your heart. It is fiercely protecting your fragile peace. Every time you enforce a boundary, you are actively healing. Every time you refuse to explain yourself to someone who is committed to misunderstanding you, you take back a massive piece of your soul. You are no longer accepting scraps of fake affection carefully disguised as genuine love. You have fundamentally raised the price of admission to your life, and they cannot pay. The nice narcissist will forever remain the hero in their own deeply fictional story. They will continue to polish their halo, completely blind to the darkness rotting underneath it. But you do not need to expose them to the world to find your peace. The absolute greatest revenge you will ever achieve is simply removing their access to your beautiful, complicated life. You survived the invisible violence of the perfect angel. You survived the smear campaigns, the gaslighting, and the isolating loneliness of holding a truth nobody else could see. You thought they broke you, but they actually just forced you to build an unbreakable core. You are standing here today, breathing, healing, and moving forward. You won the psychological war. So whenever you feel the ghost of their manipulation creeping in, or you wonder if maybe you really were the problem, I want you to remember this exact moment. You saw the monster clearly when the rest of the world was violently hypnotized by the saint. That doesn't make you crazy, and it doesn't make you dramatic. That makes you incredibly, undeniably dangerous to them. Keep walking forward. Do not look back at the illusion. Your future is wildly beautiful, painfully real, and completely yours. Protect your peace like it is the most valuable asset you own, because it is. You are finally free from the heavy, suffocating performance of the nice narcissist. Take a deep breath. Let it all go. The agonizing show is finally, permanently over. They can keep their loyal audience, their meticulously polished fake halo, and the empty applause of strangers who do not really know them. Let them reign as the undisputed king or queen of their lonely, fictional kingdom. Because you walked away with the one thing they can never fake, and the one thing they will absolutely never, ever possess. You kept your beautiful soul.